IRS has, in a sense, audited itself, visited Taxpayer Assistance Centers, and these were the findings that they found.
It was addressed to the U.S. Commissioner of the IRS. We don't have one.
Who's going to put the foot down about this? So a lack of empathy and understanding, which goes along with customer service, and then a lack of wisdom and knowledge. So we're finding all of these people who have been in these positions and in these spaces and places for years. They have all the knowledge and wisdom. We've swept all of that out.
A tax problem for me might be different than a tax problem for somebody else.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Financial Fraud Friday with Kerrina and myself, where we discuss tax topics, fraud, we banter back and forth and hopefully give you guys some insight into taxes in a way that you can digest, okay? For those of you who are not familiar, well, before I start that, I want to encourage you to like, share, and subscribe. If you are not already subscribed, we've started a new channel. We'd be really grateful and happy if you guys would go ahead and subscribe here on this new channel. Follow us on our socials and reach out to us, communicate with us. We'd be happy to speak with you. For those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Togba. I'm the owner of Togba and Associates in the Atlanta, Georgia area. We focus on entrepreneurs and professionals. Services we provide are tax preparation, tax advisory, and tax assistance. If you are interested in working with me, I encourage you to visit togbaandassociates.com, scheduling a consultation or sending an email. Okay.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kerrina O'Connor. I'm the owner and founder with KAKE, with a K, Financial, where we help six-figure solopreneurs who have IRS problems resolve their IRS and tax problems so they can run their business with confidence. And that typically includes a tax bill that they cannot pay in full to the IRS and or their state, or if they haven't filed for the last 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 years. If that is your situation, you have tax liens and things of that nature, please reach out to our office. You can call our phone, office phone 954-761-5253, or the link in the bios. So, Nikki, disclaimer. Let me do a disclaimer.
Okay.
So, disclaimer. This episode is for educational and informational purposes only. This is not legal, tax, or financial advice. All information discussed comes from public court filings, news reports, and press releases. Everyone discussed is presumed innocent unless proven guilty in court. While we are tax professionals, we are not yours yet, but we can be. Book the link in our bios. Now today, Nikki, what is the topic for today?
All right. Our topic is taken from the Office of the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. This report is dated June 29th, 2026. And it is a memorandum for the Commissioner of Internal Revenue. And this report we're discussing today a report that presents the results of a review to assess the taxpayer experience and accuracy of service provided at taxpayer assistance centers during the 2025 filing season. So basically, the IRS has, in a sense, audited itself, visited Taxpayer Assistance Centers, and these were the findings that they found, okay? They did it to assess the taxpayer experience and accuracy of the services provided. They found things such as employees did not check for available appointments and instead advised staff to make appointments even though they had appointments. Other findings were that they did not timely close out appointments that were no-shows, because those appointments, if you closed them out, made time available and allowed walk-ins to be seen, because you can actually make an appointment or you can walk in. They also found that incorrect information was given to taxpayers when certain questions were asked. And basically, the taxpayers did not have a good experience or an experience that was of value to the taxpayer when walking into these taxpayer assistance service centers to receive assistance. Kerrina, thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts were actually something I didn't think about from before. I was like, it was addressed to the US Commissioner of the IRS. We don't have one. That's vacant. But maybe it's gonna go to the Treasury or like cause there's the Treasury, whatever, and the CEO now, which is so interesting. It's just interesting because that seat hasn't been filled in a while. So that's what I didn't even catch that, but I'm like,
Good catch.
there's not one. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Who's
what?
who's gonna put the foot down about this?
Probably like the CEO or the Treasury Secretary or something.
Hmm.
Somebody.
Yeah.
But yeah, but overall I was like, oh, this is worse than I thought. It sounds worse. It sounds worse than the phones. Like usually people who go into if you're calling the IRS, you're already something's going on. Like nobody is like, oh, let me call the IRS and see what they're talking about. Like nobody does that. Let me go inside and just say, hey, like no one's going into any of these offices just because they're having a good day. They're typically having a really bad day and something's going on with their tax situation and they need help, right? So I already knew the phones were bad, and it never even crossed my mind to think about these centers, like the physical centers. And these are for people who either don't want to talk on the phone because as a taxpayer, it is really hard to get somebody on the phone, like a real live person, because the phone number tries to default you to the automated system and whatever. You gotta do a lot of rigmarole just to talk to somebody live. It's hard to talk to a it's hard to talk to the IRS when you are a tax professional. We have a practitioner line, and even then, it's still hard. So I can only imagine a taxpayer who does not have somebody calling in hard. So they're like, okay, since I can't get anybody on the phone, let me just go inside. Or maybe it was a situation where I just want to talk to somebody in person as opposed to being on the phone because my situation is so specific, so new, so convoluted that I want to talk to somebody in person. They do that and they still might be getting the wrong answer. And on top of them getting the wrong answer, it could mess up their situation even further after going to the IRS to seek it. And the simple fact is that, yeah, it's a lot worse than I thought. That's my thoughts. Well, what are yours?
My, like I said to you, I really just think there are two issues here. Um, a lack of empathy, and understanding, um, and a lack of a lack of empathy and understanding, which goes along with customer service, and then a lack of wisdom and knowledge. So we've, in a sense, with this whole clean out, what do they call it? Sweep the, clean the, break the, whatever, where
Clean house.
we're
Oh,
firing
that, yes.
all of these people who have been in these positions and in these spaces and places for years. They have all the knowledge and wisdom. We've swept all of that out. And I'm starting to think that was for a reason. And now you bring in newbies and new blood who don't care about the taxpayer, have not been here, have not been there, and have not had the box of tissues on their desk to pass out because somebody is in full-blown tears and having a whole breakdown because of their situation. They've not had these experiences. And so now here we are. This is the result of that. They're unable to answer
Yeah.
questions. Even if they are able to answer questions, they don't want to answer the questions. They're providing, I mean, there's a lack of empathy, and a lack of empathy will allow you to tell someone, hey, go make an appointment, right? A lack of care will cause you to not care about your job, because that's what I'm hearing. These are individuals who don't truly care about the service that they are supposed to be providing. And the only way that you could truly not care is because, in my opinion, you lack empathy. These people are already in a
Mhm.
bad position. And because you don't want to do your job, you're kicking the can down the road and saying to them, oh, well, some of these people in some of these cases, from what I've read, they actually had appointments and were told they didn't have an appointment. And then
That's
in some of these
crazy.
cases, Some of the people they knew that there were open, because you can actually walk in and receive service. In some of these
Mm-hmm.
cases, the secret shopper, that's what you called it, a secret shopper,
That got the
walked
same.
in, yeah, and asked for service on the spot, knowing that there were no appointments in that slot that they were asking for. And the person still instructed them to make an appointment. In some of the cases, they were instructed to make an appointment, but were not told how to make that appointment. They were never given the number, telephone
Mm-hmm.
number. So many instances of kicking the can down the road, not providing the service that you are there to provide. And the only reason that I would think that you would do that is because you lack care. You're not selling shoes. You are not in a job. You get what I'm saying? You're not in a job where where this doesn't matter. It matters. And that is what angers me about this whole report. What you are doing actually matters to how someone progresses. And you are
Ooh.
hindering their progress. And that angers me because all you had to do was give them a telephone number, provide them with something that would allow them to make some progress with what they were working with. Sit them down in the office. You knew you had space and time, and you chose not to empathize with that individual and sent them some and said to them, I can't help you. And that is your job is to help them. It's like a doctor knowing you have cancer and telling you, I can't help you. Knowing they can help you and not providing that help. That angers me. I mean, yeah,
Ooh.
that got me in my feelings.
You touched on something. I actually used to sell shoes.
Me too.
That at the Payless. I'm like, I don't, depending on the demographic that watches this, they
Yeah.
may not even know what Payless is. But shout out to Payless. But even when I was there and I was at Payless, customer service was still expected of me. You know what I mean? Like, we had rules, regulations, guidelines to make sure that we were upholding what we needed to make sure that we look in the back for. So there was, I think one of my managers, or I think it was the district manager, regional manager, came in, every now and then they wouldn't be a secret shopper. Maybe we had secret shoppers sometimes, but we would know when they're coming in time and all of that. Actually, one of my managers, that's the only time I saw her stacking shoes. I never saw her work a day in my life
Yeah,
until
we all had
anyways.
those. I was like, oh, you got work, you working today, huh?
Yeah, right. I'm like, okay. Anyways, so she he would come in and he would have conversations with us while we're working and things of that nature. And he was like, just to give us some extra tips of customer service and stuff. So one of the things he used to tell us was that, because sometimes, like, we know after a while, how many shoes are out there. If you sold that last red shoe of whatever, size 8 is completely gone. But there'll be customers that ask you a question. Hey, do you have this in a size 8? He was like, go on the back, even if you got to drink some water. Like, you know what I mean? And just double check.
That's what I'm talking
And
about.
and then come out and let them know, hey, because it shows effort that you've tried, that you're looking, that you did. And sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, most of the times we knew for a fact, but sometimes some things will be in the wrong box. You know what? Hey, this was actually in the wrong box. You got your red shoe here. It's supposed to be a green shoe. We got some inventory things that messed up, but at least they got, you know what I mean? So if that level of care can happen in a shoe place,
Thank you.
where this is something that is on your feet.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Imagine that for taxes, where this is affecting your livelihood.
Thank you.
Understand that there are people in some real situations as it pertains to tax.
Thank you.
And if they are going to in person to a tax professional, some of them are easy, you know what I'm saying? But if they were easy, I don't think they would
dismiss them. They would be there. It's just in there because this is a last resort, honey. They are looking for help.
And then, also, it's all relative too, right? Like, a tax problem for me might be different than a tax problem for somebody else, but the impact of that tax problem is a lot, you know? So I could say, oh, owing $1,000 isn't that big of a deal. But for that person, owing $1,000 is their last. Like, you know what I mean? So the simple fact that they're going there and the security is telling them, some of them not, they can't even go inside the
They
building.
can't even get in the building because of security.
They can't even go inside the building because the
And
security,
they had
mind
appointments.
you, I understand that, people get a little crazy. People get a little weird when it comes to the IRS and tax. And I get
That's
it. And
true.
I understand the need for security. Though, let me make that real clear because people get irate. I remember when I was doing my EA exam, and it's like it was Prometric at the time, it's something else now. But it's like one of those exams that do multiple exam room that does multiple exams, and they redacted my name and my information because it was associated with the IRS, and I had to speak to a specific person that dealt with it because I was like, oh, why is my name redacted? You know what I mean? I'm not a special agent.
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
was just explaining to me like people get a little weird when IRS and stuff is involved. So I understand the need for security, but come on, there should be some type of vetting process. They give you a confirmation number to say, hey, whatever, whatever. Hey, I'm here to speak. I need a walk-in so I can talk and have my things heard. And you know what? I just did a live about your tax rights, your 10 tax rights, and you have a right to be heard. How is that turning people away from the tax center?
You're not,
That's
you're,
completely encroaching on their right to be heard.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, I
So,
do.
so, and they had recommendations of what they felt should be done to make these things better, because there were instances where they walked in, they knew that there were available spaces, there were times available.
Mm-hmm.
These customer service representatives, and I use that term loosely, were not there were no shows that did not come up. So they have appointments. There are no shows. What they're supposed to do is go into the system and remove the appointment so that the system will clear the space and walk-ins can now be served because you've got no one in front of you. You're not servicing anyone, nor do you have an appointment coming that you need to service someone. So walk-ins can come and be serviced. They of course will say they were not. And I'm not going to say anybody was. Those appointments were not being removed, and so therefore walk-ins could not be serviced. But I'm sitting there free. I'm not servicing anyone. So this is why, to me, it is fundamentally, this is a lack of empathy. And that's just me speaking from the state of just being human to human being on human being. This is a lack of empathy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then this is a lack of, what am I looking for? Of how you do a job and you're doing it with some integrity. You're doing it
Oh,
because I know that I took this job and there is some importance that goes along with this job. You brought it down to selling shoes. And if you can apply that logic at that level, not to say that that's a low level. I've sold shoes before. I sold shoes at Macy's. And yes, it's simple customer service, human to human. I said shoes because, okay, yeah, I like these,
yeah,
whatever they were, whatever. But these are not going to break my bank. They may not be clearing out my bank account,
right.
taking my house,
Yeah,
my wiping out my accounts.
yeah,
It doesn't
yeah,
matter what the level of issue is of the individual that walks in the door. All issues to me carry the same weight when it comes to IRS issues and taxes. It does not matter. Sometimes I look and I'm like, oh, this is a quick fix, but they don't feel that way.
but they
They
don't
don't
feel
think
that.
that. And so I have to treat them in the same way that I would treat the individual who has come in and said, I got a letter talking about they want to levy and take my house. Same level. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
their stress. The job then becomes, hold on, let me get you in a space where you feel like somebody is advocating for you. And maybe
Right.
it's not their job to advocate. Maybe they feel that way. Because sometimes we get on the phone and it's an adversarial, we're
Tone.
an adversarial position for
Yeah.
some odd reason.
Yeah. You
As
just
if
gotta
this
hang up on them.
individual on the phone doesn't have the empathy to understand that the reason this person I'm calling is to help someone. That is
Yeah.
what always blows my mind when I get someone on the line with me who sits in as if we're adversaries.
Mm-hmm.
That always baffles me.
It's so true. And it's always a wonder, but hold on. I have 2 points that coincide. One was that in 2024, the numbers were better than 2025 tax year, right? Because 2025, because it's 2025 tax year, meaning that was just yesterday, basically. Because the 2025 tax year happens in 2026. So from January to April is the main tax season. And then now we have the trickles up until, September 15th and October 15th. So this just happened. But also think about all the things that happened in 2025 that led up to this. Because they said 2024, if I'm not mistaken, when I read, they had better results.
That's true.
Right?
They had more
happened?
foot traffic also, like more people.
Yeah. So like they had better results with more foot traffic. So what happened? We got to talk about that, right? And we had maybe we'll link. I'm gonna link our other video in. It's because they furloughed and laid off so many people at the IRS, just all willy nilly. No warning, no repercussions. The ones who are retiring or close to retirement age either retired a little bit earlier or they kind of pushed them out. So that knowledge and that that knowledge and training and all of that's there is no longer there. The people who left the IRS, remember, like IRS, all of these, this is a good government job, good government federal job, right? People who thought that they wouldn't be able, like, you don't lose a government job, at least, back in the day, at least. You don't lose a government job unless you kill somebody or something, like it has to be really, really bad.
Yeah.
Now their livelihood was shaken up. That's not a word. Shaken up, and they don't know what to do. And then I did understand that they had some of them come back, but why would you want to even come back to that? Right? Things and laws have changed, are shifting, and all of that. We don't, like I was saying and earlier, we don't have a commissioner, which we usually do. Within the last year and a half, we had 6 different commissioners, to the point where now we don't even have that seat anymore. We have a new seat. Like there's so many. I'm saying we. It ain't my.
No, I understand.
You know what I mean? But
I get
IRS, all of this affects us. So it's the trickle down effect. Because of all of this foolishness, we now, because at the end of the day, yes, we're tax professionals, but we are also taxpayers, right? We are also taxpayers. So and we have to be in compliance to remain a tax professional. Otherwise, we can get, you know what I mean? Anyways, so all of this is trickling down and it's affecting us. So yes, they had the budget cuts. So those budget cuts now have less people, less training. And I even remember reading an article recently where they're now having some of the investigative people go on the phones for customer service.
What?
Yes, I want to see if I can find that. Yes, some of the investigative people that are having a customer service now in this, people who don't know, who don't have training, who've never done this before. So what if they're doing the exact same thing?
They are.
In person. People who are not people person.
I see.
You get what I mean? They're not people person. They're not people, whatever. You know what I'm saying? They don't have that innate customer service thing in them. They don't have that empathy and all of that you're talking about. And then now we're getting to the point where they're helping people, or they think they're helping people, and they're making their tax situation even worse. And if they get penalties and interest, they can't say, oh, well, Joe at the IRS shop said X, Y, and Z. They're going to be like, oh, prove it.
Exactly.
One, you might not even remember that person's name. It's a he said, she said, because we're talking. Exactly. At least on the phone, you can get their name, their ID, and all of those calls and all of that are supposed to be recorded. So if you at least have their ID, their name, and the time that you spoke to them and what they spoke about, you can at least use that as an option to
Exactly.
combat, like for penalty abatement or something.
Exactly.
But without that, if
Exactly.
somebody's telling you something incorrect and based on their findings from their secret shoppers from the IRS, they are telling people incorrect things, especially when it's just a little bit complicated. People who are self-employed, so you have a business, maybe they might have told you something wrong. If you have foreign tax where you're a US expat or you have some type of foreign income, they're telling you something wrong. If what was it? Misapplied taxes, late filers, right? We've had this conversation before where, you know, you think, oh, well, I should file every single tax return. You don't need to legally. You only have to file 6, at least with the IRS. If it's a state, it depends on your state. But at least with the IRS, which you're at the IRS, you don't have to file every single one.
Yeah.
Only the last 6. So those are the things that are being told incorrectly to people, and that can get them in situations, and they're not going to be able to withstand it if they have a penalty because of it.
They have no argument. They have no leg to stand on, right? Because let's say I've got a bunch of penalties or I have a deadline to respond. Let's even say that, because sometimes you got a deadline to respond. I'm responding before the deadline. I'm trying to respond before the deadline. I've gone to a center. The security guard wouldn't let me in. I went to another center. They told me I had to make an appointment, but the appointment's 3 months from the darn deadline that I've got. I'll go to another. Let's say I'm that resilient that I continue to go. I've gone to 3 different centers now, which most people are not going to do.
Right.
So now you're placing me, and that is what I mean by the lack of. It's either a lack of empathy, which is what I am going to say it is. It's a lack of empathy or a lack of understanding, which would blow my mind further and further infuriate me. A lack of understanding of the system, of knowing that this individual has come in here. And it could very well be that my answer, my response to how I deal with this taxpayer could place them in a situation where they get more penalties, they incur more penalties, or I help them save something. I help them relieve something in this moment, right? Now, I am not going to knock these taxpayer assistance employees for not having the answer for tax questions. I'm not.
Right.
I don't expect you to have the answer. Because sometimes the answer is, sweetheart, because I say that now.
I'm gonna call you back.
I don't know. I'm gonna call you back.
I gotta research.
I gotta go. I don't know. That's not one of the things that I know off the top of my head. That's something I have to research. Even though to the next one it could be an answer that she has like this. For me, that's not one of those in my mind. So let me go find out. Right? This to me, this is not good. Hence the reason I'm going to plug it in here. Get some help.
Yes.
You do not have to call me. You don't have to call Kerrina. We would love it if you did. Find someone. If you go to the link in my Instagram profile, a lot of the links, I have 6 tips that you can use to choose your tax professional or assist you in finding a tax professional. Know the questions to ask.
Yeah.
Because if it's gotten to the point where, like Kerrina said, you're going in an office, it's something. It's serious. You need some. Get some help. Click that link. Get an idea. If you're kind of afraid, a lot of people have had, and I understand it for those of you who have had crappy experiences with prior tax preparers. That's why it's a good thing to vet. Because you become now you got PTSD. I don't know. I don't trust them. I don't this. I don't know. I get it. I get it. But you need some help.
Right. And get that help. And if you guys like this conversation, like, comment, and subscribe, y'all.
That's right.
But yes, like seriously, this is so important. Just us having this conversation, because on a whole, who would know that, right? So many times we have this conversation, we tell people, not just because the IRS says something, does that mean that you have to take it to heart? You know what I mean? Just because they say you owe does not mean that you automatically owe. That does not mean ignore. That does not mean ignore the notice that they're saying. Because you ignoring that notice, there's usually a little, it's not even in fine print. It's in regular print where it says, if you don't respond by X whatever date, we're going to assume that you accept these, and you
But you
accept what they have
accept
to say.
what we have said.
Right. You double check if that person, if you actually are going in person, double check. Okay, all right, thank you, blah, blah, blah. Get names. Name, well, once again, it's not going to help you as far as like penalty abatement or anything because it's he said, she said. But call or get a tax professional and get a consultation and ask questions. Hey, blah, blah, blah. I need help, blah, blah. You know what I mean? If it's a situation where you cannot afford it, guess what? There's a taxpayer advocate service that tasks that you can go ahead and you can use them to help you. Just because the IRS says that you owe something or says something on the phone, remember these are people. And unfortunately now it sounds really, really bad, but unfortunately now not all of them have the training that they need to give you the right and correct information. You might get somebody that's new. And then sometimes, even when you're new, like you can just be like, hey, I actually don't know. Let me get your number so I can follow up with you. Cause that's something I used to do in other businesses, like, hey, I don't have the answer for you. I'm gonna put your name on a sticky note, or I'm gonna actually send you to my supervisor, my manager, who may know a little bit more, and I'm gonna call you. Is this a good number for me to call you back and send you a and give you a call
But
that's
that requires
effort.
self-confidence. That requires self-confidence, that requires effort, that requires the ability to say, it's a lot of people don't like to say, I don't know. They
I
want
don't
to
know.
appear to know the answer. I don't know the answer. I don't know. That there's a level of self-confidence and self-esteem that you have to carry. And I don't let me, okay, I'm gonna put a pin right there. But I'm gonna say simple empathy would lead you to that conclusion of what you're saying. Because you would say, if this were my grandmother or my mother or my sister
Right.
sitting in front of me or my father sitting in front of me and they were asking me for help, if I gave
Right.
them this information that I'm not quite sure is correct, I may put them in a
Right.
worse situation. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you, people, is real simple. I'm not going to give you that information because I don't want to put you in a worse situation. Because if this were somebody I loved and care about, I wouldn't want somebody to. You get what I'm saying? I mean,
Right.
if your basic foundation is that alone, it will cause you to say, think or replace the
Let me
name.
step back.
No,
Yeah.
grandma, I don't know, but let me check and see.
Right.
Let me check and see,
Right.
grandma. Grandma, hold on.
Let me just double check.
I think we might have a walk-in. I might not be able to help you, but I think I might be able to get Keisha to give me 2 seconds. Let me talk to Keisha. Keisha,
Exactly.
free, because this lady needs
Yeah.
help. You do
Or
things
this
like that.
person's irate. Yes, or this person's irate, or me and this person right now, we're a little combative at this moment. She's not going to be able to hear me. And I've done this from as low as Payless to as
Yeah,
high as Corp Life.
yeah.
Hey, you know what? I think we're not getting to where we need to be. So let me go ahead and introduce you to my coworker,
We can.
Janet. Janet's going to go ahead and keep you, you know what I'm saying? Because Janet is outside. She didn't have the interaction that we already had, but I want to make sure you're still taken care of. You might have been a little annoying for me, and it's not coming across in a way that I'm able to give it to you. Okay, that's fine. Let me. Janet is better at this. Janet, can you conflict resolution? It's just what it is, and there's so many of them that can happen and that should be happening. So it's really sad. Even I'm like going back, like the unexpected closures, the just the simple fact that the TIGTA, the secret shoppers, are saying unexpected closures is one of the reasons as to why they weren't able to go in for a place that's supposed to be open every day and says that they're open every day and is a government entity. That is wild. Like what? Oh yeah, we just closed. We just closed because of what? And then somebody has to go. Like you don't understand how sometimes it's hard for people to even be able to go in person. I had one client where they're lower on like Key West, Key Largo, like super south. And I was like, okay, maybe you could find if you're not able to do it on the phone and whatever else, maybe you can go inside the center. Good thing she didn't go, but there was none in within a 150-mile radius for her.
Right?
So a simple
Don't
fact,
know
like what
what
if she would have,
happened. You don't know
you know what I
how
mean?
maybe she had to take off of work and maybe she had to,
To
there's just,
just to, because it's 9 to 5 when people are working, and government entities, they do not cross that five. They do, you know what I mean?
they barely
They don't
crossed
be
the
crossing that
430. Don't cross the 430. They like,
They
oh,
don't be crossing that
430.
five. So yeah, people have to leave work, go like take a day off, miss money,
Yeah.
especially if they're not a salaried employee, they're working hourly. Like it is important for all of this to be done. I'm glad that they've suggested things, but I want to see implementation of it. I want to see implementation of it.
I read the response from the office, after the report. I read the response from from management about the report, and I like I said, I'm going to give them this. I'm going to say, I don't expect you to have all the answers so that when taxpayers ask certain tax questions, I have a child that lives in the, it gets specific.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to do some research because some of the details you want to make sure you're getting the if this then that correct.
Yeah.
That's the parts. Those are the parts that can trip you up. So you may not want to answer directly. I respect that, right? But you do have a system in front of you. You don't have to answer immediately. You can say, give me a second, let me do some research and see what I can find, right?
Yeah.
So I don't knock them for that, but I do knock them for the things that they could have, I knock them for what was in their power to handle
Yeah.
the manage that they chose not to. And I'm going to say to you guys watching again and all taxpayers, try to get some help. If you
Right.
do not want to, you can't even some people give out free consultations, you guys. Try that out. You know
That's
what I
true.
mean? Or
That's true.
the taxpayer assistance, not excuse me, the advocate,
Taxpayer
taxpayer
advocate. Yes.
advocate, to assist you. A lot of things are going online now, so if you're just looking for data and information, you can pull that from offline. But this
That's
is
true.
very unfortunate, and it breaks my heart.
It does.
It
And I want to caution
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
people. Don't, sorry, yeah. I was like, I want to caution people. Don't just be, oh, let me ask Chat GPT and Claude. And I mean, like, understand, like, these are tools that can help you in all of that, but they may not have the up-to-date information. Remember Chat GPT, Claude, or whatever, they are scrubbing like the what other people
The
are saying on the
multiverse
internet and
for
all of that.
data.
Basically. So all the information may not be up to date. Maybe it was a tax law, but does it consider that our tax law just changed in 2025?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like things are shifting and different. So just, you know, research as well, but the people that I know, especially the ones that have their own business, they don't have the time for all of that. They would much rather somebody that they trust, after they use Nikkei's vetting of a tax professional, to have a tax professional do that for them. And if that's you, please go ahead and just go ahead and book a link.
Get some help. Yeah.
One of us should be able to help you.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna say that because this is heartbreaking. I can imagine the number of people, think about all the penalties, the fee. The thought of it
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I felt my blood running hot because I'm like, geez, how many people did you guys hurt before this came out?
Because of this. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
God, that's it.
This
That
year.
sucks. And there's nothing, even if you were a tax attorney or unless I got the data to prove it, to really have something to stand on, I can't prove that the reason these fees are so high is because my client, well, I mean, in some cases I may be able to prove it. Okay, look, here's her going, here's
Yeah.
her calling, here's this, that, and you guys did nothing, So in
Right.
some cases, I'm sure it is, but I'm going to put a pin in it there because I can go on and on. I think my final thought is this is a lack of empathy, lack of care. It is heartbreaking. Get some help if you can get some help. No, not if you. try to get some help. Get
Yeah.
some help.
Do
Period.
it. Do
There's
it.
no try.
Do it.
Get some help.
Do it.
Get some help. And that's I'm gonna leave my thoughts there. Any other
Yeah.
thoughts?
I agree with that. My last thought is, yeah, get some help. And I would say, like, if you have been affected, like, have you gone, like, tell us in the comments, like, have you gone in person? And what was your experience like? The simple fact that they weren't even giving them surveys. I mean, I've never been inside in person. I usually go I'm a phone person. But I didn't even know they had surveys, and they weren't even giving them surveys to evaluate them, which is also telling me that the service wasn't good anyway. You know what I mean?
They knew it. I'm not gonna give you a survey if I know
I'm not gonna give you a survey because it's gonna come back and blow back on me, and they're gonna have. But for you to make sure that you double check and you ask questions. Hey, where'd you find that from? Whatever, or you get somebody who is a professional to help you to navigate whatever your situation is. And with that being said, I think that's it. Like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Yes, we will. All right, you guys.